Hey guys, it's Sam. Today I'm going to be talking with Lois about rings and Hobonichi weeks and why we love one or the other. And by the time this video goes up, that might have completely switched by then. But for today, I'm going to be talking about why I love Hobonichi weeks, and Lois is going to be talking about why she loves rings.
Hi, Sam.
Hey. We're always switching planners.
We are, and we always seem to be like lockstep. Like one of us is 2 days ahead of the other one before we switch planners. It's really funny.
Something like that. Something like that. And when we started this whole plan, we were completely opposite of what we are right now. And I was in rings and you were in a Hobonichi weeks, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We both have very short attention spans.
Or something like that, yes. We have no idea what we're doing.
Right. So you're in a Hobo weeks right now.
I'm in a Hobonichi weeks right now, as of today. March the 23rd.
We're twins.
Wait, is that a Hobonichi weeks?
That's a Hobonichi weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
no.
We both have the same cover.
Yeah. So
not completely the same. Mine is the old style, without the back pocket.
Oh, no. So, yeah, mine has the back pocket.
I haven't tried that one. I actually just got this one from a buy-sell trade. I don't usually carry a black planner because I'm usually into the earthy tones, but this is the one that I found available, and I was like, I might as well try it. So I thought I'd see if I liked it, and then maybe I'll get more. You know how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like the back pocket because I like sticking all the stuff back there. You just have to be careful not to get it too bumpy, lumpy, and heavy.
Right. Well, that's one of my pros for the Hobonichi weeks, but I'll get to that eventually. But yeah, that's the reason why I was kind of glad that this one doesn't have a back pocket, because I like things to stay as slim as possible. It's just a thing for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have my list of why I love Hobonichi weeks. I might as well get started. For me, one of the things that I love about Hobonichi weeks is that everything is all in one book. And of course, sometimes I feel differently about that. But right now in this season, everything is in one book. Another thing is that it's compact and lightweight, especially if you don't have such a chunky cover that it can go in. And then this year, for the most part, I have been stuck in just using the clear cover for it. I got so used to it being like so slim that every time I've tried to move into a cover, I've just felt like it's too chunky, which compared to rings, there's like no way to make that. Well, probably somebody could make that as chunky as rings, but I can't. But I just like that, you throw it in your bag and it doesn't weigh you down. It's functional on its own without adding anything at all to it. So even though some people think that the Hobonichi products are expensive, if you really think about the cost of it, especially if you don't factor in the whole shipping part, because anything shipped from overseas is going to be more expensive. But if you just factor in how much the planner itself costs, knowing that you don't have to add a single thing to it to make it a functional planner, it's really inexpensive. And you don't need to have an expensive cover. You get that, what is it? If you buy it from Hobonichi, it's like $2 or something, right?
Right.
To add the clear cover. And so that really is all you need if you're focused on expense. That's all you need, and it functions really well without it. I don't like things that are like overly chunky. I don't add a lot of things to rings when I'm in rings, and I don't add extra stuff to my Hobonichi. So the fact that it's so slim starting out, and yes, it bulks up some when you start putting stickers or washi or all of that. I've really scaled down on all of that. So it's super thin and lightweight and easy to carry. And it's easy to write in, of course.
Yeah, so
just like opening it like that,
I find mine's easier when it's not in a cover, though. Like when it's in the cover, To me,
Yes.
it still wants to close. But if I take it out of the cover, it's so much easier to write in. But then, you know, even in the plastic cover, but you can see I use a lot of paper clips. I don't know if you can see that, but
Yeah.
to me, that helps kind of hold it where I want it to be, you know,
Yeah,
flat.
I do. I've never done it before. I always cut the strings out. I'm like horrible about that.
I know when
because
you
I
do
don't
that, it
like
makes me
theirs.
cringe every year when I see that you do that. I'm like, no, don't cut the strings.
You're the person I give the warning to. I know that there are people out there who absolutely hate that, but I just don't find them useful. I wish that they would either not have them or they would make them just a little bit more substantial, like the ones that you would get like in a Gilio or a Moterm. Other than that, I have been using the little tabs at the bottom. Right now, I just have the one tab at the bottom, and then I'm using the little bookmarks from Moterm. And then I often use an ollie clip. And I just get to my sections really easily like that.
You know, it's funny because I cringe every time you cut those, but I never use them either. Because
what do you do with them?
It's like I'm hoarding the ribbon just in case I need it. You know, I don't want to cut it because what if I get to August and I need it and then it's gone? You know, that kind of thing. I use tabs too. I've got Post-it tabs. I don't know if you can see them here.
Oh yeah, I have a couple of those in mine too, but I don't use. They're not right now in sections that I use very much.
Yeah, so I have them where I put like a sticker on there that says today or this week or whatever. Yeah. And I've got those at the bottom, but I don't use the strings either. I'm just afraid to cut them off because what if I need them and I might, you know, one day have a crisis because I don't have a ribbon marker. So kind of goes with my hoarding.
Embarrassing quick story. So this is the second Hobonichi that I've had this year, which isn't the highest number of Hobonichis that I've gone through in a year to get to the one that I wanted. So I originally ordered the one floral regular weeks, and then I was like, oh, I'm not going to have enough pages, so I ended up ordering a mega as well. And when I set up my floral, I did cut them out, like in my setup video, letting everyone cringe along with what I was doing. And then when the mega came, I just kind of left them tucked in the book, and I didn't take the time to go in and cut them off. And so then probably 2 months into using it, I was like, I really need to cut those out. And I was at the kitchen table with my husband, and I pulled them down, and I was like, wait, maybe I can make these useful. And then I was like, but don't you need to like burn the edges so that they don't fray?
Oh, so no.
Here comes
I'm already envisioning what happens. Fire and a Hobonichi.
Here comes my husband with like the giant long lighter for the grill, because we don't need lighters for any other reason. And so he comes back with this like flexible long lighter, and we're like at the kitchen table, like with the little things here. And I'm like, just hit it real quick, and then like smoke and fire, and then for weeks, I don't know what, like I just kept thinking that somehow I was going to make it better. And so for weeks I went around with singed Hobonichi strings. And then finally, like just last week, I was like, okay, it's enough. I just need to cut them out, because if I cut them down or up any farther, they're not going to be useful for like being able to, you know, move along here like this. And I was like, I don't even know why I'm hanging on to them at this point. So I gave up and cut them out the other day. My husband was like, you're finally doing it, are you? And I was like, yeah, finally doing it. So never, don't set your strings on fire.
I would have been terrified. I would have set my weeks on fire.
I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I guess it's like thinking with like people who like will be like making travelers notebooks, and they take the lighter to like the thread, and you know, and I was like, yeah, that's like the same thing. No, it's not.
Okay,
not at all.
So we talked about what you love about the Hobonichi Week. I agree with you. I mean, I love the fact that it's all in one book. Like at the end of the year, I think I'm now up to 6 or 7 years worth of these on the shelf. I will admit I've never finished an entire year in one yet, but I love the fact that I can go back and flip through and see where I was at and remember what was going on. And, you know, if one of my kids was sick, did that happen in March or did that happen in April? It's right here.
Right.
I know exactly where it is. But you were talking about liking writing in it. That's my big thing that drives me crazy. Like I
just thought you said that it was easy to write in.
It's easy if it lays flat, but it's so narrow. That's the part that, and I don't know why, because it's really not like that much more narrow than a personal size ring page.
I've compared the size before. Yes, you're right.
I think it's a mental thing for me, really and truly. I think it's a mental thing. Because like even this weekend, I pulled it out and I was like, nope, I'm going to use my weeks again. The rings are too heavy in my purse. This is so much lighter. I've been doing a lot of running around. I can throw this in my purse. The plastic cover, you don't have to worry about anything getting on it, right? But I started doing in the back, you know, like my bullet journaling in the back. And I don't want to look at this during the day. I don't know why, but to me, this, it's hard to just glance at it during the day and know where my priorities need to be. And maybe I just haven't figured out the right layout for the bullet journal in the back, because my rings pages, I've got a schedule column and I've got a task column. And I think what I'm trying to do here is more Bujo style, you know, with everything just kind of train of thought. And that's where I'm struggling with is, you know, prioritizing. I don't know. So
interesting, because for me, if I'm having a very busy day, I will just leave my weeks open to that like Bujo spread. And that is what I focus on, because I already know that I have been where I need to go or whatever. Like usually what happens is, of course, I schedule my appointments either on my days off or before I go into work. And so if I am home or if I'm at work, then I've moved on from the things that I knew were time specific, which I've said many times, I don't have many of those just because I don't like to schedule things for my life, because I'm an introvert and I don't like to be out in public. So like at work, I went to work and I have the list of things that like I need to pick up or that I need to do if I have errands to run in the middle of my shift, like on my lunch or something. And so I'll leave it sitting so that I can refer, oh, what was I doing? Because otherwise I'm going to forget everything that's there if I don't have that particular page open. So if it's a non-busy day, I just don't use that space at all. But if it's a busy day, I keep that page particularly open, and it's what works for me. So honestly, if it's a non-busy day, I'm not looking at my planner very much until the evening, and then I catch it up. But busy days, I'm on that page.
Yeah, sure. I'm wondering if maybe mine is because so much of I work from home, so much of my day is driven by meetings for work and to-dos for work. And so I keep work and personal completely separate. So my personal planner, I don't look at it unless I have an appointment outside the house, which is very rare. And my personal to-dos, I either am fitting them in between work meetings, or they're piling up and all getting done, you know, when I have a 2 or 3 hour block where I don't have meetings for work, because my job's pretty meeting heavy. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just because of the way it's not like I have big blocks of time usually to look at my to-do list. It's more like, oh, that meeting finished 15 minutes early. Can I make a phone call to the vet, make an appointment for the cat, kind of thing? Yeah. You know? So yeah, makes sense. So are you a hoarder or a spender of the back pages? I'm a hoarder. I'm not a hoarder of the back pages, but I always feel like, unless I'm like on a call taking important notes about like something health related or financially related, I often don't think that whatever it is meaningful enough to put in the back. So it's not like I'm going, oh, don't want to waste those. It's just, I think, why do I need this information here? And I think that the result of that is probably going to be that I have too many pages left at the end of the year. But it's not because I'm trying to
conserve them. It's just I'm I guess snobby about what I put there. But then I look back on that and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because your shopping lists are meaningless as well. So I just feel like other than the longer shopping lists, that I'm not in a groove of how to use them well. So I actually mentioned on a plan with me that I had recorded over the weekend, the difference for me in what my weeklies show and what the dailies show. And I usually have a whole week between the 2 pages.
Me too.
And sometimes even then I don't have enough to completely fill that. So I will maybe say on Wednesday, I have to go to the post office. And so it says that in that little weekly, it would say post office. And then in my little daily, it would tell me, pack your pocket rings for mailing, or, don't forget to go to the post office on your lunch break, something like that. Or it might say grocery store. And then in the back, I'll put the shopping list of the things that I don't want to forget. And I don't want to scrunch up my weekly view by putting all of that in here. So I am grateful for the space. I just feel like maybe I'm not using it well enough. One of the things that I'm saying that I love about it is if you have a mega, especially, it can double as a journal. Yeah. I'm not good at journaling at all. I've tried it so many times. The art journaling was like so stressful for me. I really tried at it for a couple of years, and I just realized it was bringing me much more stress than joy. And maybe it's just not, everybody's thing. But I also, this is going to sound like horrible to the journaling planner community, I don't really enjoy journaling at all. Most of the time, if we have a major event and I just want to remember all of those things, like when my husband and I went on our first airplane rides, I went to San Francisco to see Metallica. I journaled a lot about that, but I wanted to remember that because it was special. But then all of my other things in the journal are like, oh, well, today was a stupid day, or, stuff about a shoplifter, or, something cute the kids did. But, I just feel like my days are so same, there's too much similarity to just write every day. Got up and read the Bible today, ate breakfast, went to and I just don't have profound things to say. And I'm like, I don't want to read that again unless it's a special occasion. And I don't think my kids are going to want to read this if I'm gone. And so I just thought, instead of trying to force myself, of course, after buying allergies and a Hobonichi cousin, I just don't want to put myself through that. I feel like it's over my head, that it's you're not doing this. And it's just a reminder of my failures. And if I leave this because I'm not using a bunch of pages all at once, if we have something special happen, why can't it just go back here? And instead of putting that stress on myself that, hey, you haven't journaled in 1 month and 3 days, well, I haven't felt compelled to, and that's okay. So if something major happens, maybe I'll take 10 pages out of this and write it down. And then I can look at that in the context of a year instead of a giant notebook that I have 10 pages used out of. Yeah. So that's going to be a plus for me, that it can do both things, because I don't find myself compelled to write very often.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I process my emotions and my thoughts verbally. I want to talk to somebody. I don't want to write about it.
Yes.
To me, that's how I process. So having a journal, it's a great idea. I have 100 beautiful books that I would love to journal in, but I sit down and I'm like, I don't want to write this down. I don't, like you. Either number one, my kids wouldn't want to read this later in life, or I don't want them to read later in life, where I wrote down how frustrated I was because, they were being teenagers or whatever. So, I think the other nice thing, though, is if you do journal in the back of this, like I was saying, you put it on the shelf, you've got your whole year here, those special memories, all those things, it's all in one place. So, the grocery list, I was planning a wedding shower in here, and I wrote down all my notes and, to-dos and who was doing what and all that kind of stuff. And, it was very functional at the time, but I know when I look back later and that couple is celebrating their anniversary, years from now, I'll be like, oh, that was when we hosted their shower, so.
Right. Yeah, that's super, super great. And I know that a lot of people, I've had so many people because I've mentioned before that I don't journal about the things that are like causing me anxiety or stress. So that already like takes out part of what you would journal about. And so I usually just journal about things that bring me joy. And I mean, I'm not a joyful person, but I'm kind of pessimistic. And I feel like at the end of the day, I just don't know what I would want to write about. And it's like you said, I'm an introverted person, but I'm like an extroverted introvert.
Yeah.
And I really need that connection with somebody else. And what usually happens is I have a craptastic day at work, and everybody that I see is being a jerk, and I had people run from me and, you know, dealing with the police and all of that. And so I get in the car at night, I start it up, wait till the phone connects to my car, and I call my husband, and then I verbally vomit all the way home about all of the stupid people that I had to deal with all day. And even if I felt like, there are times where I'm like, oh, I'm going to write down about this jerk, this shoplifter who was chasing whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then once I word vomit it all out with my husband on the way home, I get home and I'm like, I don't want to do that all over again. But I needed to get it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, it's not the same if I write it.
Yeah.
Even if I was keeping like stupid things that people do at retail, it doesn't give me the same release feeling as word vomiting on my husband. And I guess everybody's just different. That's what works for me. So I don't have like a life where there's great, fabulous things and I'm taking exotic trips or doing all this special stuff to write about. And I don't write about any things that make me anxious. And when I'm angry about something, I'm just like, you'll never guess what happened today. And so what is there left to write, you know?
Yeah.
Today was a day. And so I have decided that it's not something that I'm going to give a special place in my life. So to all those who love journaling, I apologize. I'm no longer in that camp.
I think our friend Lisa falls in that camp, but maybe she'll forgive both of us.
I think she will.
We're not journalers.
I think she will. Yes. Yeah. We were talking about that the other day, and I was just like, you know, she's like, I thought it was a really long time, and it had only been, you know, so many, like when she said that it had been a long time, and she said that she had like not journaled in a week, I was like, you have my journal. I think I did some kind of journaling early February, and then in the same B6 Stalogy, I have like some spreads that I started when I thought maybe I'd try bullet journaling again, and then nothing.
Yeah,
I haven't done it, so just letting it go. Yeah. But I know
we can let it go together.
This is going to have pages. Yes, there we go. Now just all of those beautiful notebooks and empty pages. But I know that this is going to be there for me if I feel like writing something down. So
pens. You saw my Instagram post.
Yes, I did.
I want to confess, I didn't even make it a day with this thing. It wasn't this one actually, because this one doesn't work. But with the friction, I made it not even a day, and I was like, nope, can't do it. I don't know why.
Because you like the jet stream. Correct?
I like the jet stream because I can highlight. But honestly, my favorite is the gel, as long as I'm patient enough to give it, you know, like 2 or 3 days gel? To dry. Oh, so yeah, the Zebra, what is it? It's my very favorite. I only have like 1,000 pens. This is my favorite. It's not a Zebra. It's Pentel Energel. Clenna, and the really fine point one. That's my favorite, even in the Hobonichi, even though it's a gel, because I found if I give it like overnight to dry and soak in, then I can go back and highlight it. And I've
gotcha.
That's if I'm going to use one. That's pretty much in this one for this year. That's pretty much all I've used is that one pen in the blue black. I'm a blue black girl. I like kind of straddle the fence between blue and black. I'm playing both teams. So
I have major pen issues. I think that I could make a social media account just on my pen, probably. And, I've always been like the pen person that, you know, I said this year I was not going to buy any pens because you don't even want to know how many boxes filled with pens that I have. Pens of all the different colors. Like I find a pen that I like and I'm like, oh, I must buy every multi-pack that they make.
And
then
every
I only
refill
use black.
just in case you run out, right?
Yes, but then I use only black. Now I really like the ones that are the vintage colors.
Yeah.
And then the Clenna, yes. And then the Clenna that is like the brown. I love that one too. But then I'm always like, and every week, almost every single week, I'm like, should I try the Sarasa? Like my favorite is like the mustard color or the camel. I think it's called camel officially, but it looks mustard to me. Yeah. And then the brown one for the Energel. And then I don't know, like I start to have a panic attack about how I'm going to feel about that later. Because every time I've tried to stray and do something else, like I find myself tearing out pages and pasting in, I don't know. Years and years ago, I have been using friction pens for like 11 years, something crazy like that. And I've always been, it's just the way a pen flows, how my handwriting looks with it. And when I found the friction for the first time, I remember I was returning something at Walmart and the customer service person had a friction pen and I signed my receipt with it. And I was like, what is this? What is this?
And
I was like, I've never seen this anywhere. And I did know because I'm not a pen thief, but I was like, oh, that's a really nice pen. And I remembered that it had like the tattoo look on it. And I was like, I know I've never seen this. And I went everywhere. Just with that snapshot of a memory of that pen in my head, I went everywhere looking for it. And I finally found it at Staples. And I started using them in everything, my Bible, homeschool, to-do lists. And I just fell in love with it. And I get super particular about if I think something doesn't look neat, I have to erase it. And now I'm just so used to that I panic every time I use a pen that I can't do. And I know that there's such a thing as whiteout. I know that. Yeah, but like I have a mental block. And so I know I can't have it close to the heat. And I know that I can't erase the pages too harshly, especially in the Hobonichi weeks, or I'm going to lose writing on the other side. And I know all of these things, but I also know that I've never lost anything really important, even though it's been in my room that doesn't have great cooling and all of that. And I live in Ohio, so it's not a huge deal. But every time I try to move to a different pen, because that's been one of my problems with the Tomoe River paper, I don't like to write in fountain pen for print and my planning. I like, if I'm going to journal, I want to journal in fountain pen. I like the way that feels, but I don't like to print in fountain pen. And I also don't like super fine anything. And so 0.5 has become my sweet spot for the friction pen. And every time I stray away from it, I end up immediately coming back, even in maybe the same day. So I will use any of my pens to like use at work, to anything except for planning. And it has to be my friction pen. And I've tried so hard to get away from that. I'm like, I'm going back to rigs because I can use regular paper. And then I get out of whatever pen and I end up in my friction anyway. So I'm like, what's the point? I'm not even going to try to fight it anymore.
See,
so
that's
whatever.
That's where you and I are complete opposites, because you like a bolder pen. I like a finer pen. And that's one of the things that when I did use the friction this weekend, I was like, oh no, this is too bold. It was a 0.5 and I have a point, I think this one's a 3.8. Yeah, the slim. I have one of those, but it's like light gray and you can't, it's, you know,
but see, that's
the princess and the pea. Too bold, not bold enough.
Yes. But see, that's the other thing. And I'll use that 0.38 for my stencil to get into those little tiny crevices for my weather. But that's another thing. So I'll try like an Energel or whatever, and I'll love it and everything else. But I'm used to seeing that not so bold look of that not quite black of friction pen. And I just feel like the page is screaming at me with regular pen. And I know that that is ridiculous, but I use the friction, which is not a bold black. And then when I'm journaling, most often it's with the Lexington Gray from Noodlers, and that's not bold either. So anytime I try to go to like a regular pen, it just looks so bold. And I'm like, no, 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 no. And so I know that if I like kept up with it, I'd get used to it, but I don't want to. So
yeah, it's funny. We're like, because I'm the same way as you. I have boxes and drawers and boxes of pens, and I have a thing like this big on my desk in front of me that under the camera right now that's full of pens, and then I've got another one over here, and these are the pens I use every day, and those are the pens that I might just maybe want to use. And my kids are like, Mom, seriously, how many pens does a girl need? I'm like, I'll let you know when I have enough, because I'm not there yet.
Yeah, me either.
But I'm the same way as you. I use the same pens over and over and over again, even though I have 1,000 pens. I still use the same one.
My problem is I need to stop buying those multi-packs of all of the colors because I never use them. Ever. Yeah. I used to be blue until I started like planning. And then I somehow, I don't even know when it happened, went black.
Yeah. So what else were we going to talk about?
The only other thing that I had on my list was that I really enjoy the Hobonichi weeks having a reliable quality. Like you don't have to worry. Is my planner going to be wonky when it arrives?
Yeah.
You know, so I don't have to think. One of the things that always stressed me, and I'm sure it stressed others. So like if I was buying a Malden, so I would like literally email the company that I was buying it from and say, would you please inspect it before you ship it out and make sure that the leather edges are lined evenly and that there's no loose stitching and the rings aren't, wonky. And it's never a thought with Hobonichi. I don't ever think, will there be something wrong with my planner? Will I have to send it back? Never once have I thought that. Never once have I had anything wrong with an order. I've never had a page out of place. Everything is as it should be. And for somebody who's very particular, like I am, that is just a weight off of my shoulders, which I understand that these aren't like huge problems, but it's just little things that really irritate me, and not having to worry about it is just wonderful to me.
Yeah. And that goes back to what you said earlier about the expense. To me, if number one, which I know neither one of us do, but if we use the same planner all year long, and this was the only planner you bought, and you know that the quality is guaranteed, and you know that it's going to be high quality. I mean, there's nothing bad that I think anybody could say about the quality of the Hobonichi products. Right. Then to me, you're getting what you pay for. You're getting that guarantee of high quality, very functional, very well thought out, classic product.
Right.
It's funny because whenever I use it, I'm like, man, I love this thing, but then, which we'll talk about later, the lure of the rings whispering in my ear, come back.
Yeah, go back. I feel it too. I'm not going to deny it.
Well, this was fun.
Yes. Planner talk. Thanks for joining us today. I'm so glad that Lois came up with this idea because it wasn't mine. She reached out and asked if we could talk about planners on our channels, and I thought that it would be a super fun idea. And aside from some technical difficulties that you guys will never see, it's been a lot of fun. And we even laughed through all of the technical difficulties. So it was a good time. Thanks so much, Lois, for joining us today. And I'm excited to talk about rings over on your channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and make sure that you go and follow Lois as well. Thanks for joining us. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.